Hello, this is Beth with Pearl Treasure Designs. Welcome to episode 6, Wreath It or Not. You're going to have 3 DIYs that you're absolutely going to love. So let's get started with DIY number 1. Today I've gathered some flip-flops and some rings. The flip-flops I got at the dollar store. And the wreath rings I get on sale wherever I can get them. So it could have been JoAnns, Walmart, or Michael's. And I put this in fast motion so that you can see it put together and how I wanted to space things out. And this is a bit tricky because the flip-flops were harder to put down flat. So you're going to see me zip tying them through the bottom rung of the flip-flop underneath so that it would stay secure and not fall off, and this took some time. So I'm going to put this in fast motion for you so you can see that play through. Now with all of these pieces secured onto the frame, I am going to get ready to go ahead and start cutting some of the decorations that I decided to use. Orange, blue, and I believe a teal and white were the ribbons of choice. And I'm just cutting as many as I can get out to fill in some of the void spaces and to accent the colors that are already in the flip-flops. So you'll see me get all of these prepared, ready to go. And I tried to space them out so it didn't look like there was a pattern or anything like that. Now what you're looking at here is we're getting ready to tie these together. I took some pipe cleaners and literally twist tied them to the center of each of the rolls after I had tightened them up. And I am placing some clips here after I had hot glued some of the flip-flops down to each other because they were sliding a little bit. So I wanted to make sure that was nice and secure. And I did make a hook out of the flip-flop hangers that I got by super gluing them or hot gluing them together. And then I wrapped them with jute to help strengthen the effect of the hook itself. All right, so you'll get to see me do that in just a few minutes here. And I literally took the cordage and tightened it upon itself so that I didn't have any loose jute hanging around. And I left the hooks open and went around the hanging hook itself to give that some extra strength as well. And you'll get to see that finished product in just a moment. So right here I am putting this jute around all of the openings, excluding the clips for the wreath itself. And this is the hook. I am getting ready to tie this in a knot and glue down the ends to keep it from fraying. And I did keep the hooks for the wreath open so that you can take it on and off and reposition it as I like. I might want to put the bow at the bottom, or I might not like how it sits for, you know. So DIY number 2, here we go. We are doing a rope wreath, and I did pick this up at the dollar store, as well as the flower picks that I am using. So I ended up cutting each of these ropes in half so that I could utilize a small frame or a small wreath frame for this particular project. And literally what I did do was zip tie the ends there to the wreath, and I ended up having to braid it on the table once the ends were secured, so that I could continue to work the braid. So here I've already got the zip ties on 2 sections, and I do need 3 sections to finish off this this part of the project. Okay, so just cutting off the ends to the zip ties and then putting them together with another zip tie. So my rope will have 2 strands each in order to braid. So you'll see me getting ready to do that here. Over and under, and alternating the ropes, and then tightening it up as I go, just to make sure that it's snug and I don't have too many loose areas or holes that I need to cover or work in the wreath once I get ready to put it onto the wreath form. I did like this rope, and it's a soft rope to work with. It's very easy to work with, but very difficult to find now at the dollar store. So take what you can get. When you see it, pick it up. That's my advice. So I'm just tightening the ends down with the zip ties so that they don't come apart. My zip ties were a smidge small for this, so I did end up having to use 3 to connect them together. And it worked out fine, but it beats having to hot glue everything together. Now I'm just making sure that my spacing for the braid is adequate and placing it on the form. Turning it around and attaching the zip ties through the zip tie and onto the frame itself. That way you can't see the zip tie from the front, because all of that will get covered with the flower picks that I chose for this particular project. And I did use 2 strands to make sure it was secure, but I also placed the zip ties in spaces that were not going to show through to the other side. So at the crisscross section from the front. And I did this all the way around so that I would have extra support, number 1. Number 2, that it was securely attached to the form itself. And if I needed to super glue any part of the wreath at the very end, then that's what I would have done. Yeah, my hands weren't quite working that day. So getting a little stiff in my age. Here we go. So here's the last one, and we're getting ready to tie that down before we start to figure out a color scheme or how the flowers are going to be laid out for this one. Okay. All right. Now, making sure that the rope is nice and even all the way around. And I really wanted, you know, the boxwood or with lavender, but lavender was hard to find at this point when I was making this. So I opted for some other depths of purple. And I do like how this one came out. It's very spring into summer type of wreath. I really love it. So DIY number 3. We are doing a twisted rope with the remaining rope that I had. I used an extra small frame that I got at the dollar store in a pack of 2. And I literally wound it around the entire wreath. I had just enough without having much excess, if any. And I am putting these together to make a small swag that will go onto the frame of this spiral roped wreath. And of course, zip tying makes it super easy to arrange. And if you're looking to have these for long term, I would suggest gluing the flowers to the stems. It does help with the longevity of the wreath itself. And we're just getting some greenery and making sure this arrangement looks super pretty. I'm really loving these. Love this. So you're going to get to see the rest of this at the final reveal. Thanks for watching. This is Beth with PearlTreasureDesigns. For spiritual support, please go to Pastor Beth Kelly at Beth Kelly Podcast on YouTube or pastorbethkelly@gmail.com. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. We're all in this together.